Back with you on the Newsfeed PM, and thanks for staying on. Calls for the reintroduction of military conscription to combat high youth unemployment, often highlighted as the potential to providing skills training, instill discipline and foster patriotism among young people, especially in the context of South Africa, where youth unemployment exceeds 60%. Well, analysts suggest that this could address the skills gap, while critics argue it is costly, potentially violates human rights, and may reduce trust in institutions. We're joined now by the Advocacy of Military Conscription for Unemployed Youth. We've got Thandi. I'm going to butcher your surname. Tesfagiorgis. Is that correct?
It's Tesfagiorgis.
Tesfagiorgis. Yes. I didn't do badly. I did well.
You did well.
Tesfagiorgis. Good to have you, Thandi. Thank you very much for coming on. Let's look at those two words, drastic and others saying is a structural solution. So when you say drastic, I suppose it's meant to have a volatile kind of reaction within this space of youth unemployment, but also structural. It means it needs to address some of the systemic issues that have caused to youth unemployment. How does this help?
So we need a large base of people that will join the military and at the same time ensure that unemployment is addressed. So if we have programs that just takes maybe 300 people or 1,000 people, we're not actually addressing or making any change at a basic level. So conscription will actually ensure that a majority of the unemployed youth are taken on board, given skills that they require to operate as adults, because these people are sitting between being dependents and being adults, and they are caught in this quagmire of a situation where they want to be adults and do adult things, but they don't have the skill to actually handle what it comes with. So conscription, some people give you a year's break and say, go travel overseas so that you gain the skill. But in the South African environment, conscription will work. One, you'll get a large number, the impact will be larger. Two, you will be able to take the youth away from being idle and having no purpose, which is what we are faced with, where youth are despondent and they don't really see what is out there for them. So this structural approach of upskilling the youth in a large base, in a sense, will actually allow one to develop as an adult, two, to give structure to your life, and to give discipline. But overall, when you do this type of intervention, you actually instill a sense of patriotism in your youth, which is currently lacking. Majority of our youth, they don't even understand what 1994 meant to some of us who were actually brought up under apartheid. Yeah. So there's quite a number of issues and solutions that can actually resolve this issue. Yeah.
What do you say to those saying, no, this is just nostalgia of the past, where people used just to be sent to the army in white South Africa, and now it's a new government, a black government wants to do exactly the same thing, send our young people to the army?
There is a saying that says, learn from your enemy. Just because apartheid was against human rights, there are things within the apartheid system that work, and there are things that within this type of environment are working, and a lot of countries are actually going this route. One, you cannot hire enough soldiers to manage your risk within the country. So you need the reserve forces. So conscription, actually, once you finish this 1 year to 2 years program, depending on what the policy once it's developed will say, because you can have a 1 year conscription or you can have a 2 year conscription. Once you finish your basic training in the military, you automatically become a reserve force. And the reserve forces is there to supplement the work of the full-time military. So if there are programs, for instance, you will have a program where the military is called to close off Berea or to close off Johannesburg, because you're dealing with some sort of illegality. The reserve forces are the people who actually are called, because you've got the numbers to actually do that type of cutting off. So you will finish your training. you will not be employed full-time, but you're automatically part of the reserve forces, of the armed forces. You've got your uniform, you've got the discipline that when the country needs you, you are on call.
Yeah.
So
there is a similar program, not similar, but it was an attempt of a type of model.
Yes.
It was probably 10, 15 years ago. I'm exposing my age here, when the Minister of Rural Development then introduced what was called NARISEC. It was a National Rural Youth Service Corps, where they're saying, no, we are getting these young people in army-like style, and we're going to give them skills to build, I think, to be electricians, to be plumbers, and so on and so forth. So somebody might say, well, you've tried this, did it work then? Why do you think this time it will work?
Okay. I'm going to reveal my age even more, because I'm going to go back 20 years. I was part of the program that happened around 2000, where there was an advert in the paper, and the government said, listen, we've done a study, and we've identified that the number of personnel that we have within the army, if the South Africa was attacked, we're not going to be able to defend the country. And they then made a decision to call on young people at the time to come and train. And that program was a year. So it didn't matter whether you were unemployed or employed. It was a call to service to your country. We went for this training. We were going on a Friday, sleeping at the camp. Can I also give a shout out to Vets Raffles in Germiston, which is where my camp was or is currently. This is where I was trained. And the nice thing about the army is that your uniform. So we're coming from apartheid of 1994, and this is 2000. There were still divisions at the time. But when I was in the army, the color of my skin did not define how far I could go. My brother, whatever color the person was in, the minute you put on that uniform, you started identify with the blood and the sweat of all those who came before you. So I'm an advocate because I know what it actually involved, and I know what type of discipline and opportunities that are involved.
Yeah. And young people say, well, what is immediately there for me? Because you got young people today who say, well, when you take me to this thing, what is my family going to eat? I'm going to go get this training. What happens to them? Because they've got immediate needs now of hunger and school fees and roof on top of their heads.
So what was the program that I was involved in, which I will encourage also, which is a reality of our life. You cannot ask somebody to go on training when they are hungry. So there has to be some sort of stipend, which is why I was quite excited when I listened to the president today saying we are going to increase the budget of our armed forces so that we can actually intervene in this particular space of youth unemployment and youth development. So the fund, from what the president said today, is saying, I'm going to make it available. So I think the question should be, how do we, as advocates, ensure that the funds are used properly and they benefit the people that are supposed to benefit? At the end of the day, serving in the country is more than the money that you actually earn. Yeah. Because most of the army personnel or the armed forces, including the police, including the seamen, the money is not the driving factor. And until we get that right in our youth, who are so caught up in making money, that you know what, there is more than money. Yes, money is good, and you cannot work when you are hungry, but at the end of the day, what is your purpose? And your purpose should actually drive what you need to do. And also, I think one of the things that they might miss is that when you are in the army, you've got opportunities. Like I say to my son, if you join the army, you can actually be a pilot. And the cost of being a pilot is unreachable for some people like us. Yeah. But if you're in the army, you actually get those hours for free because it's part of the benefits of the Air Force. So there's quite a number of opportunities that you actually get. And after the 1 year, if there's an opportunity or a post that comes up, for instance, in the police or in the army itself or any other of our armed forces, because you've got this training, you actually stand a better chance than the other people that have not gone through the training.
Yeah. Did you feel, I mean, when you were part of it, it infringed on your liberty? Because that's one of the arguments that's being raised. It's viewed as we are becoming some kind of a policing state, and people will be unjustly brought into this thing. It will be imposed on them and their personal freedom.
Training is an imposition. When you are training somebody and you're disciplining somebody, you are getting rid of some of the behaviors that they would, in other cases, they will not like to get rid of. So when you train, it's a disciplined structure. And you wake up at a certain time, you sleep at a certain time. I think what I used to tell people was when we were graduating, we were dropped somewhere in Pretoria with a can, with 3 cans a day. The can didn't have a label around it. It was a silver can. When you open the can, you'll be surprised what you find there. It can be beans, it can be whatever it is.
Pilchard or whatever.
It can be whatever, but there's a surprise. Why? Because you need to be at a mental position where food does not define what you do. The purpose of what you're doing should be. So there will be discipline. Yes, you'll infringe of somebody's right because they will have to report on duty and be on duty at a certain time. And this is something that we need to instill in our youth, that life is not about fun and whatever. Life is about what are you building for the future of South Africa? Where do you want South Africa to be?
Much appreciated. Thank you very much for coming.